Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is Express Yourself with
The Professor.
Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express Yourself live on Global Radio 99.5 FM.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is supposed to be Flag Day, I understand, and they were asking people to wear their colors of the flag. And I guess some people out there doing that. We have to just more than wear the colors, Bahamians. We have to understand what the nation is all about. 52 years and counting. The thing is that we have had so many issues, so many problems. Bahamians do not even understand the major document that is responsible for the running of the nation. You may wear your colors and all of that, that's fine, that has its place. That's a minute thing. But understanding the purpose of that flag, what does it mean? What does it stand for? Because there are still some who believe that the Bahamas is not an independent nation, even though the Constitution says we are sovereign, independent, theocratic, democratic state. We're a nation under God. And so while it is good for people to be in a celebratory mood, because someone asked me, what do we have to celebrate? We should celebrate independence. Of course, there are some people who have taken this to themselves and believe that the national celebration should be for them and their cohorts. It hasn't yet reached the average person in 52 years. I want you to make note of that, Bahamians. You do not see widespread celebrations, 52 years, not even on the ground, in the various constituencies, and from the constituencies to the various communities within those particular constituencies. You know what kind of organizational structure you have to have in place for that to happen all over the country? If it isn't reaching the average Bahamian, it means nothing. A lot of people who go to Government House, and as they've been doing for 52 years, invite the same people over and over and over and over again at the taxpayers' expense. They get big, fat, out of shape, talk crap, foolishness, and nonsense, and they go back home to their plush residences. That's what's been happening, Bahamians. But the average Bahamian who has to struggle every single day for a plate of food, 52 years later, what is his role in an independent nation? Because many of you have not even discovered that. You just exist, but you don't know why the nation was founded. What are the founding principles of the nation called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Is the well common? The answer is no. You have more poor people in the Bahamas now than we had in 1973. Do you understand how serious that is? You have more murders in the Bahamas than we had in 1973. You heard the commissioner talking today about some guns that were taken off the streets. Well, they were on the street anyhow. But they're trying to track, and they found it in a car or vehicle, hidden in some detergent or whatever. And quite a few guns were taken, and some illegal drugs, etc. I believe they said one person was taken into custody. But they got a tip that something was going wrong. And I believe, Bahamians, you ought to assist the police, but the police need to assist the citizenry. I think that's where they're falling down. That's why a lot of people have a sour taste in their mouth when it comes to the Royal Bahamas Police Force. When they come into black belt areas, particularly where the average citizen lives, their whole demeanor and attitude stinks, rotten. But yet they're the same people who come talking about they're your friends. In the old days, I was told the police were used to prevent black people from succeeding. You had a white minority government back then. They would drive them off Bay Street. They couldn't go on Bay Street. A lot of you young people who understand the history of this country before 1967, January 10, 1967, how black people were treated in the Bahama Islands. That's what it was called then. They were not called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And even since that time, there have been very little change as it affects the improvement of the lives of the average Bahamian in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Very little change, if any. There were a few minute changes, not major changes. The major change occurred when we became an independent nation. That was major because you were no longer a colony, you were now a nation that was founded on Christian values and the rule of law. Do we have the rule of law today? We have more crime today, 52 years later. We have more sexual immorality today, but we're a nation founded on Christian values and the rule of law. So what happened? We have a serious immigration problem, and the government of the Bahamas is sitting numb while the president of the United States say, listen, I got to get these people, and he used a very derogatory word to talk about these people. I can't use that on radio because it's not permitted, so I will just simply say it was a very nasty remark made by the president of the United States against the Caribbean nations. And some people want to say it's in one nation in particular. No. They don't operate like that. They look at one that way, they look at all that way. There was a specific nation mentioned, but the thing is that that's how they look at all of us. The same way they look at that one and use a very nasty and derogatory remark, which I cannot use on this radio station. It applies to all of us. You need to understand and see the mindset of these persons who have power and authority. And they believe they can throw their weight around. Even with the Cuban situation, I would have thought with the Bahamas government making an arrangement with the Cuban government or those persons who are coming to the Bahamas to work here, Cuban personnel, we need to get that cleared up because the United States got involved in it. And the Bahamas government made some changes in the way they deal with the Cuban people. Or let me say the Cuban government, because the government takes precedence over the Cuban citizens. They run things differently over there. You're not a democratic nation. And the government of Bahamas knows that. Why is it that we have the United States of America involved in an arrangement between two sovereign, independent nations? Why? Are we a colony of the United States? We have to ask ourselves that. Because, see, our leaders are not standing up as they ought to. That is a problem. 52 years as an independent nation. And we have to look, or it would appear as if we have to seek somebody's permission to make an arrangement with another nation. What kind of crap is that? An independent sovereign nation must make its own decision, not at the push and will and fancy of another nation. We're not doing that, Bahamians. We are bowing and shanking to an alien authority which has no jurisdiction in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. Do you understand that, Bahamians? No jurisdiction. We're not a part of their federal system. But yet some of you bow and shank as if we are. What kind of crap is that? I don't see it in the Constitution that we are annexed to the United States of America. That is one nation. They got one seat in the UN. The Bahamas has one seat in the UN. We have an ambassador in Washington now. Of course, you know, them fellas been playing games with us for years now. We don't have an ambassador in the Bahamas. Let the government of Bahamas explain why. Why is it that we do not have an ambassador from the United States resident in the Bahamas today? Why? You see, there are so many unanswered questions. You have what they call the charge d'affaires, which is subordinate man. And then when their Secretary of State met with Caribbean nations collectively, you see how they treat you? You're just a bunch of bodies in one big box. Whereas all of them are sovereign, independent nations. But they don't treat you that way because you allow them to treat you as if you're all in one big black box. Bunch of black marbles. And one man, one white man from one nation comes and talks to all of you as if you're a bunch of little children. That's how we allow them to treat us. Instead of standing up and saying, no, sir, no. That can't be. You treat us with respect, we treat you with respect. It should not be where a group of nations, sovereign, independent nations, bowing and shanking to the will of one nation. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so, Bahamians, we have to understand we got a serious immigration crisis where the man over there is getting rid of persons who are undesirables in that particular nation. In fact, the man has cut off Haitian nationals from entering the United States. They cannot go there. If they're found there, they'll ship them out. They're not accepting no flights from them. But yet the Bahamas government hasn't closed the borders of the Bahamas. Still have them funny people coming in here. What good is Haiti to us? Having flights into Haiti and you go back empty. Play and bring back some more wicked people. Huh? Is that the way we run things? Not a peep squeak from the government of the Bahamas. Not a peep squeak from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Not a peep squeak from the Ministry of National Security. Where's the national security? Where is it? We are paying a bunch of lousy, no good people to run our national affairs. And you sit here as Bahamians content with that crap? I've watched it, and I've been saying it on this radio station. And they'll say, well, that's just Professor Thompson. There ain't nothing to that. You stay right there. God is going to have to intervene in this country to save it. And he will. You ain't seen nothing yet. God has a place for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, even though its current leaders do not seem to understand that. Because they're not listening to God. They're a stubborn bunch of brutes who want to do their own thing. And they show you that every friggin' day, every single day of the week, they show you what they stand for. They're not interested in God. They're not interested in the Holy Bible. They're not interested in following the Constitution. But yet you sit here quietly, allowing this crap to go on day after day after day. We're just a couple of days from 52 years. 52 years of crap. And you, as citizens of this country, have sat and allowed the government of Bahamas to mess up this country. Mess it right up, Bahamians. Now we can have a mad rush of strangers and foreigners and aliens and outsiders. You can't go to the United States. They sure shut their borders down from them. Why have we closed our borders? Why? We supposed to welcome all the trash from other nations? You think it's just Haitians? No, 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 no. You got trash from other nations. Everybody wants to set up shop in the Bahamas except the Bahamians. Bahamians, how we get like this? They say it looks as if you don't have any care for your own country, but they want to set up shop. See them Iranians in the United States? All kind of talk in their mouth of how nice their culture is and all of that. But they're in the United States of America. They don't want to go back to Iran. Why don't they go back to Iran and fix Iran? Help them Iranians over there. They say they got 90 million. That's a lot of people. They're enjoying a better life for themselves and their families in the United States. I think Mr. Trump may have to send them back too. It's only a matter of time, you know. The man wants to clean up the United States of America. He said he wants to make America great, not the Bahamas. He didn't say make the Bahamas great. You got to listen to what the man say. He is interested in making the United States of America great. Nothing about the Bahamas. So some of you think you could hold on to Trump's down tail. Come on, man. What stupidity is that? We have to hang on to God who can save us. Trump can't save us. He will make policies that are important to his nation without any consideration for the Bahamian people. Do you understand how serious that is? The man is looking out for his nation. I'm not blaming him for looking out for his nation. We have leaders here who are not showing any interest in this most serious national problem that we are having. And it's getting worse, Bahamians. By the day, it's getting worse. And the government of Bahamas is sitting on their backsides doing nothing. Not a single word since Mr. Donald Trump had announced these things. Not a word. They must be lost to town. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Thompson. Hello.
Caller, would you please go ahead with your comment?
Yeah. I think you better take it easy talking about America. You know.
Stop the caller. Cut him off. Cut him off. I am a Bahamian citizen. I can speak freely according to my constitution. I have nothing to do with what the United States says or does. They have no jurisdiction in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We need to get that into our psyche. What he does over there, that's his business. What I do here in the Bahamas is my friggin' business. Nothing to do with them. The problem is, callers like that is what keeps the country back. I'm saying the facts as they are. I'm not saying anything negative about the United States because the facts are right in front of you, Bahamians. I'm not lying on the President of the United States or the government of the United States. Now, if I was doing that, as a whole loss of a different color. Every single word that I have said could be proven to be correct and true. Not making up any stories. And Bahamians have to learn to understand we must defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. Plenty of you don't even know the Constitution. That's another problem we have. You don't even know what the document says. It gives you tremendous freedoms, more than what you could get in that other country. I tell you that much. They want to suppress freedom of speech in their country. That's their business. We must not allow that to happen in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Our Constitution guarantees you freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion. You want me to go further than that? I work under that, Bahamians, not any other constitution of any other country. I couldn't give a rat foot about them. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Professor,
Yes, ma'am.
don't let that idiot antagonize you. He's just, I don't understand him. I don't know what he calls for anyway. But I understand that persons are being registered at the Parliamentary Registrar Department with just birth certificate and school records. They don't have to produce a passport of any kind.
That is a serious matter.
That is a very serious matter, and I understand that they got their instructions from the political directorate.
Say that again. I didn't catch that first part. They got their instructions from who?
The political directorate, I understand, has told them they have to accept those documents alone.
When you say political directorate, who are you talking about?
Persons at the executive level, you know.
No, see, we got to be very specific. See, I ain't gonna talk about no political directorate. If it is the governor of the Bahamas that's doing crap, then we identify it as the governor of the Bahamas that's doing the crap.
Well, it is the government of the Bahamas.
Well, then don't talk about no political directorate. You know, let's be specific, man. That's why this country is all frigged up now.
Yes, I agree, Professor. I agree.
So we have to say it the way it is. The point is, that's our problem as a nation. We are not standing up and dealing with the evidence as is. You got to lie on anybody. You know what the Prime Minister said some time ago. We got that on tape. We know what he has said since then, and we have that on tape. And we follow what he says and watch what he does, and also his government. And also his ministers. Come on, man. Let's talk sense. Carl, are you still there?
I am still here.
Okay, all
and
right,
I call
okay.
on all Bahamians, if they're serious about the Bahamas and they're proud to be Bahamians, I want to see every car on this island that has a flag,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
Bahamian flag on it.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that.
I send that call out to every Bahamian.
Not only must they put up the flag, you see, you got to go deeper than that. You have to live the Bahamian way of life, what this flag stands for.
Exactly.
It doesn't stand for us listening to other leaders in other nations talking a pile of crap and trying to get into our internal affairs. We must stop that. We have to tell the man no. What's wrong with the word N-O? You just tell me N-O and I'm a citizen of the Bahamas. What kind of nonsense is that? That is why you will continue to be ridden upon, because you don't stand with God. God tells you how to run a nation. The Constitution gives you the guidelines as to how you should run the country. God gives you some definite things that you ought to do. Plus, he can provide protection for you. That's another thing we fail to understand. We think because of the United States being 30 minutes away from us, they're supposed to be our protector. God put us there for a reason. We need to understand why God gave us 700 islands and some 2,000 keys, they say? 2,000, 1,500, 2,000, whatever the number is. Keys.
If you'd like to make a
for
call,
a specific purpose. And unfortunately, we've been allowing these keys and islands to be sold. Now, we have to correct that thing. You don't do things like that. So these people are coming in and they are taking over and setting up their own little country on these keys, and Bahamians are not able to go on the beach. We have it right here on the island of New Providence. It's beach right out here on West Bay Street. People encroaching on it now, and very little space for Bahamians who want to go on the beach on a weekend or whenever they have the opportunity to do so. And the problem has been is we have allowed this crap to run on for 52 friggin' years and done nothing about it. That's why I'm so upset with you Bahamians. You sat right there. You got to tell your representative. You have to tell the minister. You have to tell the prime minister. You have to tell the government of Bahamas. When they're doing crap, you call it crap. Whether they like it or not, tell them tough it. You are a person in this country who has freedom. That's why I'm so glad about this Constitution. Just imagine if we didn't have this Constitution. What more crap they would be doing. But because there are a few who stood up and say, no, sirree, it can't go that way. They might back down a bit. But the point is, we got to stop it all together, completely, totally, so we can enjoy the freedoms and the privileges that are entrenched in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You got this particular person talking. Anyhow, let me forget about that person. See, if you're going to call this show Talk Sense, Bahamians, you're allowed to express your view, but don't talk foolish. We got no time for that. We wasted 52 years. You want to waste another 52? Give me a break. This is Professor Sidney McGrath of Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. The lines are open, 326-0271, 326-0272, 8130-271. I almost forgot I got a guest here today. I can introduce my guest when I get back. This is Professor Sidney McGrath of Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Good day, Professor, and good day, producer. Bahamas, it's good to be back on this Flag Day in particular.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody may have noticed, Professor, but I was out last week,
Uh-huh.
taking in some downtime and studying and preparing for this this battle for the soul of our nation that's coming
Yes,
up ahead.
It is, yeah.
Um, Professor, even when we talk off air, I I feel a lot of what you feel. I understand what you're saying. Um, we have to stay the course, and we have to fight the good fight of faith, and just take our deliberate actions.
Yes.
Not we can't get overly concerned with the misdeeds and the actions of others. We look at it. Um, we have to fight it. You're doing that.
to do
You're
it, yeah.
teaching. You open the people's eyes. They're calling and showing appreciation. So let's continue to do that. But it's good to be here all the time. And thank you once again for the opportunity, sharing a platform to wake up the people.
Yes.
We losing ground, Professor. This is not the Bahamas that the forefathers built
Envisioned,
or
yes.
fought for.
Yes.
This
that
is not.
correct.
We're not seeing what they envisioned.
No.
So we have these celebrations that come about. I'm still celebratory on this Flag Day. You mentioned all the flag colors out there in the nation,
Yes.
but you didn't mention all the flag colors here in the studio.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there's some patriotic people in here.
very
Everybody
true, yeah.
flag right down
Yeah.
here inside the Global Radio studio as
Yeah.
well.
But this is patriotic.
Oh,
Station.
yeah, what?
Very much so.
Professor, I also am concerned. You spoke about the influx
Yes.
of the illegal immigrants.
Yes.
I think the Bahamas is the least concerned nation. I think the Bahamas, by our leaders, let me be specific. Let me separate the leaders from the people.
You have to.
Let me separate the two. When I say the Bahamas is the least concerned nation, I do not mean the people. The people are very concerned and very troubled, vexed by what is happening.
Yes.
Our leaders are not.
That's correct.
By their words and by their actions, they are not very concerned.
Yes.
And we have evidence such as we keep referring back to, you notice they never said that was AI.
No.
They never said that was AI.
Mr. Bruce, you make sure I find that tape because we could use it.
Yeah, we'll bring that back to the people's memory because
Yeah, they have to be
the
reminded.
Indians forget sometimes. Our leader said, I believe it was in a community of foreign nationals.
Yes.
He told them that they are not Haitians. Those are the words, if we remember correctly. He said, y'all are not Haitians, y'all are Bahamians. I can remember like it was yesterday.
I remember everything that particular personality
Okay,
said.
that personality said, y'all are Bahamians. I is you is me. We are one. That's entitlement, that's rights. And no wonder the behavior is as it seems. And meanwhile, Professor, I'll give you the details on it before the end of the show.
Yes.
The Dominican Republic hired a U.S. firm to come in and to assist. They have their own border patrol, but
Yes.
they bought in a U.S. firm
Yes.
to help to deal with the situation. That's the Dominican Republic. One more thing before we go to the caller. The Turks and Caicos Islands would have called up Great Britain
Okay.
to ask them to bring in persons to help with the crisis. But we are doing virtually nothing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a
Okay.
caller.
Yeah, we have a call on the line. Mr. Producer did tell me that.
Yeah.
Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor
Hey, how you doing?
Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson.
Thank you.
And
Brother, how
good
you
afternoon-
doing?
It's always good to hear a patriot.
Yeah, good afternoon, Comrade Hyla. How are you?
Good day,
Yeah.
sir.
Wonderful,
Good,
wonderful.
doing well. Thanks.
Well, like Hyla say, if you need help, you got to Grammy say ask for it.
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
you
You know what I
receive.
mean?
It's a
All right.
biblical
Ask for the help,
principle.
man.
Mhm.
It's a biblical principle. Ask.
Yeah,
and you
come
will
help me
receive.
lift this rock across the road. I can't do it by
Yeah,
myself.
right.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, 'cause if we got some criminals, they were doing fool
and we can't house them. But let's call. What's his name in El Salvador? He got plenty space.
Yeah.
Okay.
He calling for people to come there, criminals to come there.
Yes.
You know, but Comrade Hyler.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but this deal was sealed, and when our prime minister went into that rally, and he sealed the deal with what you just said. He said he opened up a can of worms. I think to the tune of a couple million worms over there, and everybody everywhere over there, you hearing on the ground. Brent Davis. And that's our prime minister, Brent Davis. So I don't know what we can do to reverse that transaction, but something else I need you and Professor advice on. While we are eternally grateful and happy that the Commissioner of Police and those was able to bust that cash, that shipment, we're very happy because we can't take no more guns on the street and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Don't you think there was a better way, seeing that they got a tip, they could have done that? They could have taken that tip and scout that thing out. Watch that.
Understood.
Instead of busting that person in the road, they should have followed those appliances to their conclusion.
Well, no disrespect. Go ahead, Professor.
They'll call it, maybe they are.
No, Professor. Professor.
According to the news, they stopped the car in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Now, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Who are you protecting if you are?
Yeah. Where was it coming from? This is what the caller is saying.
Exactly.
Patriot is saying, where did it come from? Where is it going? Where is it going to? They could have come up with an address, additional individuals, as many different angles that this could have been approached.
Exactly. See, because that driver is going, if he is driving a courier truck company vehicle delivering, he's going to walk. And then you ain't going to have nobody to pin the cache of weapons and ammunition.
Do we know what type of vehicle it was? Has that been disclosed?
Well, in order to be taking appliances, it got to be a truck or a lorry or a van.
Okay.
It has to be.
Yeah, okay.
Has to be.
And for the quantity Patriot, I almost couldn't believe the numbers that I was hearing. Close to $200,000.
Listen to me, Isla. Remember, in my memory, Patriot memory serves me correct. Several years ago, there was a sitting member of Parliament, or I think it was the Attorney General, a female Attorney General, whose client was caught with a trailer cache of weapons, same thing years ago. And what she did, she demitted office for 1 day. And another one of her colleagues took over and nullied that case. 1 day, find that case, or all them cows of the case and nullied that case. Now see, when you let a rat go like that, how you know he ain't coming back? Like, nah, and be doing the same thing. Because I find it strange that the police could stop that lorry in the road.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Patriot. These are very sensitive matters to discuss. I would widen that whole point that you're bringing. Why single out one person? We don't know the rest of what's happening, right?
The driver.
Let's widen that. Let's widen the scope a little bit, Patriot.
Yeah.
Our police force said that they would be working along with international counterparts on operations like this, right?
Yep, they did.
You know how serious that is? And we dancing around with pom-poms, trying to choose which color we can go with. Well, what if the two colors are of the same mind, which is this? Let me put this out there. We do not want outside investigation. What if all of the colors that we have before us to choose are of the same mindset? We do not want the UK Crime Bureau out of the United Kingdom. We do not want the FBI carrying out operations. We don't want these things. I'm just putting the question out there.
Well, if we don't get some kind of help, like I opened up and said,
yes,
how we ever get it done? Because
Yeah.
in the past, and everybody go up.
Well, we accept that point. We need help. Professor, would you say we need help?
Yes,
need
I do.
plenty of-
Yeah.
But I heard the report on the radio what the commissioner had said. I don't know whether there are any other extensive investigations that are going to spin off from what she said. I don't know that. I only could go by what.
Professor, because I know other people can walk in it. See, I am a forensic listener, a forensic person. I did 30 years with a shops yard wait at BTC. So it's certain things I do speak. I looking for it. I looking for you to say certain things. Now, here's where it catch me. When the commissioner of police sat and said, "We got your guns, we got your ammunition, we got your dope." Now, who are you talking to? Right? That's the first question. Who are you talking to? When you could have simply just follow that to the conclusion, we're going to who house it going for, and then you wouldn't have to be trying to investigate to find who they belong to.
Okay, I accept that. I accept that. Yeah.
How we're talking, Ella?
No, that's straightforward.
She got to go investigate, to go pick up somebody, to go put in the court, and that person walk free because some botched up investigation when they could have just ride right behind that truck and see who else that guy.
Patriot, you know who's not going to walk free? Let me again widen the conversation, and then we can move on to something else.
Go ahead.
Patriot, here is who is not going to walk free. The former commissioner of police let us know that serious crimes have a solvency rate in the Bahamas of above 50%. He said high 50s.
70%.
Well, he said high 50s at the time. Serious. I ain't saying overall crimes now. Let me be specific.
Yeah.
So we're talking about murder or, violent crimes, robbery, armed robbery, things involving firearms or loss of life. So it's serious. Here's why I bring it up this way. We at high 50s, call it 60% or 65, whatever the case is. I just want to bring attention. I'm not bringing my people down. I'm trying to bring corruption down, trying to bring corrupt people down. So understand what I'm saying. While we at 60%, you see that Southern District of New York over there in America, who we have senior officials on the court docket.
Yeah.
And it has just been announced recently that they want to make a plea deal because they went through discovery where the prosecution or the government of America have to present all of the information before the defendants' lawyers and the defendants themselves. That is what they were reviewing for about over a month. And here's why I bring it up. After they saw the evidence that was there, Patriot, they throw the white towel in, say, let's try to cut a deal. We could give you as much people as we could give you. The solvency rate is about 90%. It fluctuates between 85, 90, 95%. You see the vast difference?
I know how that people, what you see, they grab you in the United States of America, like you say, they don't do due diligence over a couple of years.
Deep research, and we'll land on this and let Professor take it over from here.
Yeah,
Patriot, but I'm just saying, the point that you raised with why just nab the van.
Yeah.
No, they would have had more people. I'm just repeating your point and establishing your point. You would, investigate the circle. And it's the other side of it too, Patriot, where, okay, you all would have been saying something different if the van pulled up on the dock and then they offloaded and then a boat pulled away. So that's the other side of it. That's the police side of it that they would look at it. We all would have been crying if it got away from us,
Okay, well, thank you for your contribution.
Okay, man.
All right.
All
right. Good day. Okay. Professor, it goes on to this. We don't know what boats come in. You wouldn't have seen this because you're not on social media, but you're going to have to be on social media very soon. Professor, we're going to wake that out. Professor, you should see the boat just over the last 48 hours. You should see the boat or boats loaded down with individuals still coming into the Bahamas. And we have no idea what the numbers are like of who is flowing into this country. The U.S. took, one of the reasons the U.S. took a hard position on the flow of people out of Haiti is because it's not only people, Professor. Drugs are flowing along with the people. Guns are flowing along with the people. So we have, I'm not saying all of the guns, but why are we not taking this serious? Our government knows that when those boats come in from Haiti, or no one is picking on Haiti, but when the boats come in, that's why we have flights going out and flight attendants being caught with $40,000 cash, 65. You see what I'm saying, Professor?
Yeah, okay. I think we have a caller on the line. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, how you doing, Professor Thompson? How you doing, Dr. Hyla?
Hey, good
Go
day. How
ahead,
you
caller.
doing?
Ken Alana from Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Hey, Kendall, go ahead.
All right.
Good day.
Professor Thompson. Professor?
Yeah,
He
caller,
can hear
go
you.
ahead.
You can
Yes,
go ahead.
I will allow you. I want you to allow me to say something. And it got to do with what you were saying. I was listening to you, Professor Thompson, and just right down the line, all this. We got 2 more days for July the 4th. Now, Dr. Hyla, we was talking about chemtrail. We were talking about chemtrail. Now, what they're going to do, Professor Thompson, we got 2 more days, July the 4th, the celebration. They're going to turn up these frequency poles they got all over the world. And they've been letting out the metals and the radiation and everything. And this big news, we in trouble. So, Professor Thompson, we got 2 days for them. They trying to kill 280,000.
Stop the caller. Stop the caller.
See, Kendall,
caller.
if you can
Stop the
still
caller right there. No.
Go ahead.
Let me
Go
just
ahead.
get this straight. Okay? We're trying to provide accurate and precise information for the public. We don't want callers calling into the radio station with suppositions. What is your source? Where is it coming from? Is it credible? Is it reliable? Is it responsible? While people have a right to their private views and personal views, I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, I cannot allow this kind of conversation on this radio station. So I'm going to have to cut the caller. Mr. Producer, please cut the caller. Because I cannot allow that to be that way. I don't know where people get these funny things from. That particular personality called some time ago and said something against one of our leaders in this country, which was not true. You see, and it's going to cause problems for me. I got to keep my job here. I can't allow people to just call into the radio station. That's why they hold me responsible for what is said on here. I cannot allow that caller. Please. And for others out there who are listening to him and following him and all that, Bahamians, we have to be very careful as to how we dispense information. Now, when I say something on this radio station, it is accurate and precise. I'm not guessing about anything. Either I have the facts on it or I don't have it. And that is what is important, Bahamians. You don't want to alarm people with speculation. Now, if they're alarmed over facts, well, then that's a different matter altogether. Because no one has yet been able to refute anything that I've said. And if they can, just bring it on now. That's all you have to do. But, caller, I'm sorry, I cannot allow the conversation to go further. Go ahead, Brother Hyman.
Yeah, Professor, like you said, let's stick with the facts, because this is on another note, this is very disheartening. The situation in Haiti is anticipated that it is going to get worse because the U.S. government has taken a position through the Department of Homeland Security.
Yes.
They are removing temporary protected status.
Yes,
that's what we need.
That's
what we need to know.
Yes.
Okay, and the time frame in which this is to come about. Now, we're talking about up to 500,000, 500,000 Haitians could be impacted by this, and they could. I mean, in America, Haitians or those of Haitian descent that are living in America, they can be sent back, deported, and there's already a process. They set up an app or an application, Professor,
Yes.
on your cell phone, because almost everybody has cell phones. They can actually go to the app and what they call self-deport. You can begin the process of
I heard about
identifying
this
yourself,
self-report, yes.
and they will catalog who comes in and gives their name voluntarily, and the U.S. government will be a part of that process of them being sent back, through that avenue.
Yeah, okay.
But for those who are not voluntarily coming forward, then the U.S. government is being very aggressive towards searching out those persons
Yes,
and deporting them.
that's correct.
So this is set to take place. It goes until August the 3rd, and the whole temporary status will be dissolved by September the 2nd. And this statement came out just last week, Friday. The Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem,
Mhm.
she came out and made a statement that is the new position by the U.S. government. Now, I did see a statement that came out of Miami, quickly, Professor, from a Miami councilwoman. She is of Haitian descent, North Miami councilwoman Mary Esteem Irvin. She's saying, how could the U.S. Embassy, in just a matter of days, the U.S. Embassy in Haiti told every American to get out of Haiti. So that's one message you're sending. Every American, they're advising to leave, vacate Haiti immediately due to violence and instability. That's
Yeah.
one side.
Yes.
So Miss Mary Irvin is saying, how could you say leave because it's so violent and unstable? But now you're saying that it's time for the Haitians to go back to Haiti. Things are safe. So it's a double
Did
message.
did the government of the U.S. say things are safe in Haiti?
I could
for
pull up.
Haitians?
I could pull up the statement as we move on. But
No,
yeah,
no. Listen to me carefully. I heard what you said, right?
Mhm.
Is the government of the United States saying to these Haitians that it is safe for them to go back to Haiti, or they're deporting them because they don't want them in the United States? Because see, if they don't want them in the United States for whatever reason, that's a different kettle of fish. But
Right.
are they telling them who have to be deported things are now safe in Haiti? This is the impression that the Congresswoman is giving. Is that the understanding?
This is the impression. Yes, that's the impression that is being
So
given.
has the United States government ever said at any time or indicated that it is now safe for Haitians to go to Haiti? Or are they just taking a rigid stand and getting rid of those persons who they don't want in their country? Because see, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. If she's interpreting it to mean all Americans, as you said, the government is saying, leave Haiti now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, now, immediately, because of the violence in Haiti.
So
You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand.
Yeah,
So
okay.
here is Politico.com. Politico, they report on what's happening in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
That's Politico. They are oft quite reputable and referred to very frequently by other news houses like CNN, also NBC, CBS.
Okay.
So what they're saying is, this is very interesting. Quote, this is from Madam Secretary herself. She's saying that they have determined, and I quote, that conditions in Haiti no longer meet the temporary protective status requirements or statutory requirements.
Okay, stop right there.
Mhm.
She's talking about as it affects people in the United States. These Haitians who have this temporary status,
Right?
they're now bringing it to an end.
They're bringing it to an end.
Uh-huh.
And they're saying, after concluding that conditions in the country have improved sufficiently for Haitians in the U.S. to return.
Wait now, wait.
Oh,
Let me see if I get this. Let me see if I
yeah.
get this clear now.
Uh-huh.
Repeat that again for me.
Okay. It has been determined by the Department of Homeland Security, that conditions in the country have improved sufficiently for Haitians in the U.S. to return.
Okay.
I personally don't agree with that, Professor, but
Okay.
yeah.
So where do you send them? They don't belong
Well-
in your country. Where do you send them?
Well, home is home, Professor, but they're saying 1.2 million have been run out of their city, out of their community. That's 1.2 million of the 12 million Haitians, because Bahamians don't believe all will come here, We don't believe that. Because this radio station wouldn't be quiet, and none of the other radio stations wouldn't be as quiet as they are when it comes to trying to be a part of the solution.
Yes.
Because you're asking people to call, give
Yes.
comment, or
Yes.
give your concern.
Right. Yeah.
Look how quiet we are.
Too quiet.
And it's picking up a little bit at a time, a little bit.
Yeah, but that's
Too
not good
slowly.
enough. Too slow.
Okay.
Too slow. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. This is Professor Sidney McCarter Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. My special guest, Brother Hyla, is here. He normally comes on every Tuesday, and we're having an interesting discussion. We are not hearing any clear statements from the government of the Bahamas. Why is the government of the Bahamas so quiet? We got to call them and ask them what is going on with these illegal aliens entering the country illegally, and we're not being told anything. That means this is very serious business. When you got people, man, people got all kind of bad, carnal-minded nature in them. And that's terrible for a small nation like the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is Professor Sidney McCarter Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break. so many things are happening. Sometimes you wonder where should you start and where should you begin. But the thing is that Bahamians, we have a lot of problems in this country. The government of the Bahamas has to do a better job in informing the public about this serious immigration crisis. The government of the United States is dealing with it on their end, in their country. We have to deal with it in our country. The government is too quiet. We still have people coming in to this country illegally. We have no word on people being arrested or taken into custody for entering the country illegally. We just can't have people walking in here, Bahamians, as if they're in charge and they're running things. That's a recipe for disaster. We have a clip about Miss Leslie Bryce, I think her name is, on Independence Celebration. Mr. Producer, put it on, please.
During our year of the 50th. We wanted to ensure that, we see the Bahamian flags throughout the country. And sometimes we just drive right past, not really realizing the importance, the strength, and really what it means. And so we just wanted to ensure that as we started our 50th anniversary year, that we raise our flags. And it didn't only happen here in New Providence, it happened in every family island. It happened all throughout the diaspora. And so all of us took part, Bahamians everywhere took part in the flag raising ceremony. The flag raising ceremony is important. It's a salute to our vibrant symbol of our country, the black, gold, the aquamarine. We must understand the importance of it. I know as I travel and I represent CARICOM for our country, when I see our Bahamian flag amongst the other flags, I feel so much pride, so much honor. And so we just want to ensure that we do the same thing that we do in other countries when we see our Bahamian flag.
Hyla, I got something to say about this, what the lady said, but I want you to speak first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Professor, I have to say that my mind is clouded because I'm feeling very patriotic on the one side. She spoke of the various ceremonies that are happening, the flag raising, and what is happening with our flag. I believe that her administration is not demonstrating patriotic behavior towards the Bahamas, because this is not what the founding fathers would have allowed. Whereas we're celebrating the flag represents sovereignty, but also patriotism. So how are we to feel strong in our patriotism when we have another flag competing with our flag? As a matter of fact, they had their flag day before we had ours. So I'm just saying, it shouldn't have to be them and us, because I've been thinking about this over the weekend and even on my break, Professor. See, to me, two words come to mind: love and dignity, just human dignity of life and being the way people treat you. Professor, there's no one that loves Haiti and the Haitian people outside of Haiti more than the Bahamian people. Haiti shares an island called Hispaniola with another country, the Dominican Republic. They share an island. Bahamians love Haitians more than the Dominican Republic. I'm not saying that they hate them or whatnot, right? I'm just saying that the Dominican Republic does not want their sovereignty compromised. You stay on your half of the island, we'll stay on ours. That's what is being experienced over there. When it comes to dignity, nobody treats Haitians better than Bahamian people. Now, somebody can, if you go on a case-by-case basis, you could say, hold on, not my neighbor. My neighbor across the road, he treated me bad. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about as a nation. We've shared a country with another country to the point of leaving ourselves out. I was dealing with a matter this morning, even while I'm on the air right now. A family member who happens to be a Wilson, they're sitting up in the hospital right now from I don't know what time in the morning. I'm here, can't even focus on the talk show because up to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the day, they're waiting to get service inside Her Majesty's hospital. You get my point, Professor?
Yes, I do.
where there's schools and hospitals. So you know what the difference is between a 2-hour wait and a 6-hour wait, or whatever the case is if they say it's 3 or 4 persons of foreign descent and one person of Bahamian descent sitting in the room, and everybody have to get straight. That's very serious. This is a matter of life and death now.
Yes.
That's how much we are carrying the other nation. Our sons have to wait 6 hours, 8 hours, and some people out there would say, y'all joking. Some people go to the hospital and don't get served that day, have to go back the next day. So I'll leave that right there. And this was a critical situation. Severe pain in the abdomen where you got to do a search.
Oh, yeah.
How long this can stay like this, Professor? And you got to tell me choose which color, which party I can vote for. We had a whole prime minister that was a doctor. And that ain't changed how fast a Bahamian gets served by 10 minutes. Having a whole prime minister as a doctor did not change how Bahamians are treated in the medical system. As a matter of fact, I gotta remind the Bahamian people, he didn't even want to see the doctors while he was sitting, former Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis. Let me slow down and get the protocol right. I'm saying it is devastating. The Consultant Physician Staff Association reported to us during COVID-19 that they were having difficulties getting a meeting with their own colleague, Dr. Hubert Minnis.
Yes, that is true.
And he coming back talking about they pushing me aside. No, we push your competent, whatever authority attitude aside. That's what the people pushed aside.
I think we have a call on the line. I got to hold my comment. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Professor Thompson and Comrade Hyler.
Yes, sir.
You just hit with nerve with me just now with the hospital situation, Hyler. You didn't get the memo yet.
No, I didn't get the memo. That's the spirit moving.
Obviously not. You ain't get the memo.
No, I didn't get the memo.
You see, because like you say, with abdomen, I had a girlfriend that died in A&E with abdomen pain.
Wow.
Before even the doctors see her, and that happens all the time at Princess Margaret Hospital. But in reference to your people, when you have abdomen pain or broken bone or something, the place they have to take you is to X-ray.
Yes.
The memo you didn't get is that none of the 7 X-ray machines at the hospital is working.
No, man.
None.
No.
For weeks now. You know, I go there 3 times.
No,
I go there 3 times a week, right?
No, we got to address that today. What?
Listen, the Dowell was on the news saying the minister was on the news a couple of weeks saying that they doing some reshuffling and stuff. I don't think that was totally true, because I go there. I have a broken leg that mended by itself, and I'm trying to get PMAs to assist in fixing this leg for me. And I needed to go to X-ray. And when I went to X-ray several weeks ago, the technician there told me I got to wait a while because out of 6 or 7 machines, this was weeks ago, you know, he said only 1 waking. Now that one what was waking, a couple of weeks ago, finally break down. And they ain't got none.
Man, you may be on to something. Let me just say this. Let me interject right there. Patriot, I am hearing, for example, this particular issue that this relative had, you could take the approach with the X-ray, or you could also do the ultrasound and make some, you can make some diagnosis and determine what is happening. Because you're talking about the appendix or maybe some other organ that's vital. You could die of the situation, right?
Yeah.
The ultrasound operator is who dealt with this particular case today.
Yeah, because the X-ray machine is waking. But now I want to drop without a bomb on Professor. I want to drop a bomb on Professor now. You know, I am dialysis patient. And I always complaining about the state of the dialysis unit. I went in there on Monday, yesterday. Almost slipped on the wet whack on the floor, mopping water again, right? They still got the bucket in the hallway catching sewer with leaking down in there for over a year now. Sewer.
Wow.
Right? Went onto the machine. 3 machines on a regular basis because the machines are past their born on date several times. They wouldn't replace them on time.
Wow.
3 machines out of a possible 5 machines in the back treatment room where I go was having problems, breaking down.
Wow.
The machine, it's so bad because, you know, in dialysis, when you get in the back there to your treatment, that is a sanitized environment island, Professor.
Yes.
Sanitized.
Yes.
Ain't no germs or nothing much supposed to be in the back there.
Wow.
Because you blood is out there. Blood is out. Well, I got news for you all and the nation. Yesterday, 3 machines broke down, including mine, while we was on the machine. One patient had to be moved off the machine. They had to take all the lines of blood and put her on another one. And when they put her on that next one, that break down. So the mechanic what was there, unsanitized, working while we on the machine. Listen now, we can come in and out while we on the machine trying to fix it. He had to call the next mechanic. So we had 2 of them in there with 3 machines that was faulty, and they contaminating the whole damn place. And they wondering why the mortality rate in dialysis is so high and infections. Professor, you put that in your pipe, talk about that and smoke that. Thanks for taking my call.
Boy, Patriot, you bring tears to my eyes with that one.
Well,
Yeah.
those are his personal views.
Yeah.
We cannot authenticate them.
You cannot confirm or deny.
No,
Yeah.
well, we will just let that rest as is. Now, I have no problem with him expressing his personal views. That's why I allowed him to continue. But Patriot, you only could call once on the show. You know, I allowed you to call the second time, but just make it once so that others can get in. And if the situation is as he says it to be, and if it's true, then we are in a very sad state of affairs. I'll just leave it like that because I cannot corroborate as to whether it's accurate. I'm not saying that he is deliberately saying things that are not true.
Yeah.
I know this individual very well. But he has a right to express his view. Those are his personal
views.
All right. So
Yes,
let's just leave it at that. But we should make note of it. And of course, it can be followed up to see what the condition is like. We can talk to people. We got to get some people from the hospital to be able to explain to the Bahamian people why is it has been reported that dialysis machines are breaking down. He has been saying this for some time, but it seems as if today it has gotten even worse since he has been using those machines. And he needs those machines. He talked about
the
people
dialysis,
dying because of the fact that, you know, that is a very serious predicament. And also your situation where you talk about that pain in the abdomen. We have to really improve on our health services in this country.
Definitely.
Because we just can't keep going on in such a shipshod manner. All right. And that's cause for concern. Now, let me just speak to the person in charge of the flag thing. She did not explain what the flag meant.
Okay, the symbolism.
She is the personality in charge of the independence celebrations. She did not explain to the Bahamian people what is the purpose of the flag. She feels proud when she go to other places and so on and so forth. That's fine. That's personal. Miss Miller Bryce, why didn't you explain to the Bahamian people the purpose of the flag? What do those colors mean? What do they represent? And perhaps she wasn't even around when this was set up in 1973. But the point is that this is the problem that we have with people who are in key positions when they come to the public. And I'm not knocking her because of what she's saying. I'm just simply saying that relevant information, since you're talking about the flag, she should have at least the information, if she didn't know it herself, given to her and say, this is what the flag meant, why we should be proud of it. And of course, she's proud because, you know, she's benefiting from it. But the point is, the average Bahamian does not understand what those colors mean. and how it fits into nation building. We are 52 years of age now. All right. And the authorities have not yet explained why people should be proud. Because some people are questioning it, you know. Why should I be proud of the fact that we are 52 years? What have we achieved? What have we accomplished over that 52 years span?
And look at what we are experiencing.
And what we are experiencing today.
Yeah.
You see, and, you know, we have what we have. The particular organization that she is politically connected with has been in that House of Assembly and the Senate for 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, 70 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The point is you've had the opportunity to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, when you look at conditions in this country,
Mm-hmm.
they've been in and out,
In
in
and
government,
out.
out
In
of
and out.
government. Even in the court, they've been all the way up to the appeals court.
And they still coming back to the people saying, if you vote for me, then I'll do something again.
They have had every available opportunity to solve all constituency problems in this country,
Mm-hmm.
all major national problems in this country
Mhm.
over that 70-year span. How much more time you want to give these people?
Just 5 more.
But you had 70.
They singing a song, Professor, you know that song?
But see, a lot of people do not understand how long this particular party has been in the House of Assembly and in the Senate. 70 long
That's a serious
years.
thing. That's a
Let's get
serious
the
thing.
facts straight, man. They didn't just come here yesterday.
Mhm.
They've been in and out of government. They've been all the way in the Supreme Court, all the way up to the appeals court.
Um,
All I'm simply saying
Mhm.
is here is a party that has had every available opportunity. And
Mhm.
when you look at the state of affairs,
mhm.
and that party has the government right now.
That's right.
Okay? When you look at the state of affairs and see how this country is today.
Professor, when you say the state of affairs, I came across something yesterday, if you don't mind. This one comes out of Exuma. So this one applies to, I believe, the jurisdiction of our deputy prime minister, who's saying, give him another chance. This I
There's
came.
no such thing as no deputy prime minister.
Well, we know
So
that's not constitutional.
No, it ain't constitutional.
It's not
So
constitutional.
Don't even insult me
Mhm.
or the nation by saying
By
that piece
saying
of crap.
deputy prime minister.
There's no such
okay.
thing.
All right. So, Mr. Chester Cooper, who has been elected to serve Exuma, on Facebook, I see that there's a page, Let's Fix Exuma on Ragged Island. And this came out yesterday. When you said state of affairs, I remembered it and I searched it up on my phone. Professor, it says this. This is the state of affairs in Exuma as it relates to emergency care. This evening, while I was snorkeling behind a home on, I don't say where, I witnessed something I'll never forget. A tourist struck by a speeding boat and the vessel never stopped. In a split second, peaceful snorkeling turned into a life or death situation. The man was severely sliced by a boat's propellers. Fast forward. Those that were nearby, we pulled him out, carried him to a nearby deck, and called the clinic immediately. Minutes passed, then it turned to multiple calls. No ambulance ever arrived. After 45 minutes, we were told, bring the man ourselves. You hear it, Professor?
I heard it.
We find a truck. We've heard this before. We found a truck, carefully loaded him in, and rushed him to the clinic, bloodied, weak, and fading. This is 2025 in a major tourism destination. The person who's writing says, I'm ashamed of the level of emergency care we still have to endure in Exuma. We deserve better.
Yes, you do.
Our visitors deserve better. Lives are literally on the line.
Yes, they are.
Lack of emergency response. Lack of infrastructure. No ambulance arrived. This is just a summary, and I finish with this. Multiple calls. That delay could have cost a life.
Of course.
We have tourism, then we also have our reality. Exuma is marketed as a paradise. but the basic emergency systems don't reflect the standards expected in a global destination.
Okay.
But
Which
they-
part of Exuma this incident would have occurred?
Well, they
report
said behind Tar Bay.
Tabe.
Tar Bay. And they're saying it was the quick action of beachgoers that showed community resilience.
Well, that's fine. We
And,
appreciate that.
and they strengthens people by working together.
Well,
but-
no, that's a good thing.
But they shouldn't have to compensate for systemic failure.
No,
And
I
it-
agree.
And here's
I agree with
allowed,
that.
it ends it with this: we will vote for the candidate who can fix this. Now, you
But I
think,
sure hope they do.
but that sound like a community who can vote for Mr. Cooper? Because apparently it ain't fixed now.
No, it's not fixed.
So you think they're gonna go back? Anyway, I'll leave that. They said what they said.
Yeah.
They
Well-
said what they said.
This is why representation is very important on the ground in the particular constituencies about major issues. I keep talking about major constituency issues that affect the people of that particular constituency. We have major constituency issues in the constituency where I live.
No ambulance, a superpower like Exuma, fishing capital. You're always around boating. That's the lifeblood of the community. This could be a decision maker between whether a family decides to come to the Bahamas or not.
No, it can be.
It's a big
It
factor.
can be. It is a very large factor, yes. And the thing is that I'm happy that the residents responded quickly. Now, I've noticed in some communities, you don't have that kind of quick response from an emergency that may occur. People tend to stand around and expect some other people to do it. But I'm delighted that those persons, whoever they were, did respond quickly to save this man's life, and even waited for a period of time for the ambulance to come. They didn't have any ambulance to show up. They had to take him themselves. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Professor and Mr. Hyler.
Yes, sir.
Hey, good
How
day,
you
sir.
doing?
Good day, sir.
Good. I'm listening to the conversation, and I heard mention of all the views we're looking at this situation of the influx of the Haitians, and namely Haitians. You can't beat around the bush with that one. But one thing I haven't heard in straight up is that with no MP or cabinet member addressing this, and actually this should come from the Prime Minister himself, but the Bahamian people, I haven't heard from anybody to
Caller, it seems that you're
was
breaking
doing
up.
this process of bringing people in. He and Kamala Harris were announcing, come, come, come. So we saw that agenda in black and white. Now, is that the same thing the Bahamas is doing? Are they bringing in these people, Haitians actually, without any input from the Bahamian people and in violation of our Constitution?
Yes.
I've
Excellent
never
question.
seen, well, I've heard, but people, no one has admitted this. This is what we want. We want a certain amount of Haitians here at a certain time. As a matter of fact, just before elections, I would say. But thanks very much for hearing me.
So thank you for your contribution.
Professor, if you don't mind, the caller, I agree. He's expressing his agreement here, but he raised the point that everybody is so silent at the cabinet level.
Oh, that is true.
The government is silent on it.
Yes.
The people are just beginning to speak up. Professor, I just wanted to point out, it's the former Prime Minister, Mr. Perry Gladstone Christie, that was named to what is called the Eminent Persons Group, which is supposed to be a group of persons reporting, assisting in helping Haiti. We haven't heard anything.
No, we haven't heard anything.
What's
from
the
that
help?
group.
I don't know. I believe they had at least 2 sessions. We don't know the outcome. So is that something you're taking seriously? That's
a good
that
relevant
you wouldn't
question.
come forward and say, okay, after 2 days of discussing things or after a week discussing, bringing something to the Bahamian people. To me, personally, this is the height of disrespect to the Bahamian public.
Okay.
Everybody else is calling this thing a crisis. What are we calling it, Professor?
We haven't heard it from the government of the Bahamas that it is a crisis.
Every nation in the region,
Yes.
every country in the region is calling this a crisis.
We are mostly affected by all that's going on.
We are the primary target.
Yes, that is correct.
And for a Haitian does not want to go to Haiti, where else would he go?
That's a good question.
All roads lead to the Bahamas. With Philip Braid Davis standing on top of the mountain with his arms open wide.
Well, Mr. Hala, I hear that, but the Bahamian people are going to have to take serious action against this illegal immigration problem. It's virtually strangling the Bahamas. We have to do it while we can now. Don't wait until later to do it. This is July 1. We're going to have to make some hard decisions, Bahamians, in choosing who you want to run this country, because it cannot continue the way it's going now.
Professor, we in July, the U.S. government say August,
Yeah.
For 500,000 more. August.
We're going to have to fix that.
Okay, 1 month.
Have to fix that.
1 month.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. Express yourselves. The lines are open 326-0272, 813-0271. We appreciate those who did call in. Bahamians, there's a lot that is on the plate. We have to deal with it one step at a time and see how best we can help save our country. We got to pray to God to help us. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We'll be back after the break.
Express yourself.
the show, I thought we had a little bit more time, but producer is saying to me, we have the last 30 minutes, so we have to do what we can. Mr. Producer, if you could play that tape on the commissioner while we have the time, we could discuss that. Go ahead, please.
What we have here is on Friday, 27th of June 2025, we received certain information. Acting on that information, we mounted an operation along with Bahamas Customs officers. Around 3 p.m., we began the operation, and shortly before 5 p.m., we stopped a vehicle in the western portion of New Providence. Upon searching that vehicle, which contained a number of household appliances, we found what you see here today: 25 firearms, illegal firearms, an assortment of ammunition, I think it's 5,216 rounds of ammunition, and 49.6 pounds of marijuana. This is what was taken from our streets on the weekend. At this present time, we have one person in custody, and we will continue to investigate this.
Wow, that's a serious matter. Now, there are some persons who might be critical of the commissioner, but she said she received certain information and they acted on it. Sometimes you have to allow people in office to make a judgment call.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be some other investigations going on that we know nothing about. And the commissioner, she has seen what has gone on before her time. And I would not think, this is just a view that I'm expressing based on what I know, that there would be any dramatic change in the way they were investigating matters like this before. They thought it necessary to stop the van at that particular juncture. They may have some other information that we just are not aware of. And I don't think it should end where it is now. There's much more to it than perhaps what was being said at that press conference. But a lot of stuff was collected, and I think they should be able to tell where it came from, where it was supposed to go to. But it's a matter of stopping it in its tracks. And they thought to take action right there and then. So I commend the commissioner for her swift action. And they don't tell you everything, you know. They ain't gonna tell you everything, but I am sure there's much more to the story than what the commissioner says. So we're gonna allow the commissioner to do her job. I think she did well in getting all of this. I mean, see all those terrible things she said, that you can't even get a license for these things. But yet they had it, a large amount of guns in detergent going someplace. And I'm sure they know perhaps where it was going after doing further investigations. Brother Hyla?
Well, I also commend them and, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes,
like you said,
they
are acting on information, not just the tip, but it would combine with other information that they have. So as they carry out the investigation, they would be investigating the one person that they have extensively.
Right.
Phone records, you know, where they spend their time, who they're associated with. I don't think they stated whether or not that particular person was known to police.
No, they didn't say that in that interview.
Yeah, it's so many variables because the person could have been only a driver, really not knowing what was contained inside.
That is possible.
The whole shipment.
Because they said it was hidden in detergent.
Yeah.
And so they had them properly wrapped up so the detergent doesn't get into the guns.
Right.
So this was a very sophisticated operation. And I commend the police for being able to stop it in its tracks as it was plowing through the street. Who knows what would have happened had they didn't get that tip.
Exactly.
You see, so Bahamians, when you have information, make sure you give it to the commissioner of police.
Right.
Because if I have any, she can get it from me. So she can bring this crime down under control.
Boy.
All right.
The crime is barreling out of control.
Yes, it is. It certainly
we only heard recently during the budget debate, we heard that overall crime is down. So in certain areas, up, serious crime, I think they're saying murder's down. But Professor, you can't tell people what they're feeling. Looking out into the community, it doesn't feel safe.
No, it doesn't. It's not safe at all.
You know.
What about the lady who was sitting on the porch? Two women who were sitting on the porch with the child at 10 o'clock in the night. And you know how hot it is.
Mhm.
And maybe they didn't have no fan. They didn't have no air conditioning.
Right.
And two fellas in dark clothing
Yeah.
comes up and just shoots them. Perhaps they were not known to them and they didn't know them.
Right.
But you have one woman dead and the two others seriously ill in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. And things like that, we
Yeah.
have to be concerned about the welfare of people.
Yeah. We have a lot of work to do.
Plenty of work.
Professor, when you look at it that way, just to make a brief statement on that, I'm seeing whether you look at crime fighting or that's extended to the judicial system, you know, we are not collaborating with international bodies.
No, we're not.
So that means we are not performing. We don't seem to be interested in international standards from the government's perspective.
Okay.
See, because you got to separate it.
No, you have to separate it because see, it's
Mhm.
it's the government of the Bahamas
Mm-hmm.
that has been given the authority
Mm-hmm.
to do some things on
Right.
behalf
Of
of
the people.
of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Right. So when they fall short, the nation falls short.
It would.
And
It
they don't
would
like to
fall
talk
short.
about these things.
No, they don't.
They like to say the numbers are up or whatever the case is.
Yeah, but then you see, you saying the numbers are up,
Mm-hmm.
but then at the same time, when you count what happened last year
Yeah.
and you count what happened this year,
Mm-hmm.
what do you get?
A negative overall impact. And I don't like to be out here on the radio being negative about things. We are assessing things. We are making an assessment of things, and in some cases making recommendations as to where we could go, how we could improve.
Yes.
And we keep bucking into this one word, consultation, and we see where the government is not. Apparently, they pick and choose.
I heard not the foreign affairs
Mhm.
minister,
Who's
the
that?
minister for the attorney general.
Attorney General. Okay.
He talked about certain stakeholders
Yeah.
who they selected,
Mm-hmm.
right? So obviously the government picks certain people
Mm-hmm.
who they want to consult with.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who are in the communities,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Right.
who they ought to be communicating with
Right.
are not consulted. We are not stakeholders.
Well, you know, I like to bring the example. Are they consulting with Fox Hill?
That's a good question.
And
Excellent question.
in case anybody is not familiar, we could say it very briefly. On August the 9th of 2024, a notice came out of the office of the Prime Minister. That's 2024. Roughly a full year, 11 months ago, a notice came out saying that in Fox Hill, there are 20 properties that the government needs to acquire so that we can hand those properties over, not hand over, but sell those properties or lease them to other individuals of low or middle income.
That's what they said, yes.
Now we have on June the 8th, just a little over a week ago, maybe or 2 weeks, June the 18th, 2025, here comes another notice saying that these properties, the ones, roughly the same ones, but a few of those properties have been handed over to the Minister of Housing.
Yes.
If the public is understanding what is happening here, what is called eminent domain, the government is acquiring property and saying, we need your property that you may have paid for in full, or you may be paying a mortgage on, or you may have inherited from family members. But here comes the government and says, we need that property. Bring your papers. You see? And this has
They didn't ask
happened.
them to bring their papers in this next announcement.
No.
The latest one.
No, they didn't ask
So you
you
got
to-
to know the difference now, what
Yeah.
they said, what was said before,
before.
and what is being said now.
Right,
And all of a sudden you got King Charles involved in it.
right. Yeah, they didn't say bring no papers this time.
No, they didn't say that at all.
I just pull up.
So
the-
you have to just, this is why I say to people, you got to watch what the government of the Bahamas is doing. Listen to what they say, and then watch what they do. All right? Because they put a little twist to it this time. And they didn't ask for people to bring proof of anything.
No, not this time.
They are now taking decisive action on these particular parcels of land
Right.
for the purpose of putting low income or middle income personalities
Mm-hmm.
onto these properties. That's the nuts and bolts of it. In the name of King Charles. I know how he got into it, but that's how they have it all set up. And we got the Minister of Housing involved.
Right. Would be
when
Minister
we-
Keith Bell.
Yeah.
This is very serious because,
No,
Professor,
it is very serious.
it-
Yeah.
this is the beginning, but this may be just the beginning of what is to come.
That is a possibility. Yes.
So there are persons who have gone through this experience in the past. You would have interviewed Veronica Owens, former member of parliament, and she has experienced this, where her mother has property that was acquired by the government,
Yes.
but the mother was never paid any money.
Yes. And we also understand that other properties, and speaking to someone I know
Yes.
very well,
Yes.
has been acquired
Mm-hmm.
by the government of Bahamas. The people have never been compensated.
It's happened in many cases.
Many cases.
The,
Yes.
the law requires that within a reasonable amount of time,
Yes.
because, Professor, where are these people going to go when you take their property?
That's a good question.
Where are they going to go? Those who, they in their kitchen cooking. And when I went on the ground and spoke to the folks in Fox Hill, just in case those who have never heard this before, many regular listeners, you've already heard this. I'm only repeating it because this is very important,
Extremely important.
very significant. The government can take your land even if you follow all the rules.
Is it constitutionally sound?
If they
That
don't,
is what
if
I
they don't
want
pay
the
you,
Bahamian people to understand.
and this is not for roads,
The actions of the government of the
Mhm.
Bahamas in relation
right?
to acquiring people's property,
Yeah.
is it according to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Because let me tell you, Bahamians,
Mhm.
the Constitution has a hell of a lot to
To
say
say,
about this.
definitely.
That is what you need to ask yourself.
Mhm.
You can't just be sitting down doing nothing.
But it's definitely not constitutionally sound. And
Okay.
Professor, you know, everything I say on this airways for almost a year, I don't even know the time that you brought me on board, Professor. I'll have to
Yes.
look back in time.
Yeah, you
But
have to.
there's not one sentence that I've said that I'm not thinking about the evidence involved at the same time.
Exactly.
Because I'm
And
not
that is what is important. The
evidence, the evidence.
Yes.
So right now, June 18th, just a little over a week ago, it was stated that there's a notice of vesting, that this property is now being vested. What does vesting mean? The authority and control is being removed from the Foxhillian and given to the Minister of Housing.
Yes.
That's what that means. The
Mhm.
authority and the power of attorney over your property is no longer with you. That's what that means. So it don't get more serious than that. Now, was the money handed over? I don't have that information, Professor. I just know the nature of the beast.
Yes.
We have a history and track record,
But the track record is there.
and we have a certain behavior for decades
Right.
and successive administrations.
That is correct.
They don't like pay,
Yes.
but they like to hook you up by your neck
Right.
to get money out of you,
How do you? Yes.
but don't like when the shoe's on the other foot.
They don't want to pay up.
They don't want to pay up.
But we have the evidence of that. There's no doubt about that.
So this is where Article 24.1, you've been
Article
trying to...
24.1, I keep saying to the Bahamian people, that is where your collective strength is. And that last phrase
That's it.
of Article 24.1, thank God it's in there.
Mhm.
And Bahamians, you have the authority
Mhm.
to deal with the issue if you feel that you're being taken advantage of by those who you
Yeah.
gave the authority to take care of your
That's right.
business.
Step Street, you better speak up. On
You
Bristol
see.
Street.
They got to do more than speaking up now. They got to organize themselves
Mhm.
to take appropriate action. This is where the Bahamian people keep falling down. They may make a little bit of noise, but just like the Patriots decided we are going to take action.
Mhm.
That's what we need to do. We can deal with the courts.
Yeah.
They say the court's supposed to give justice. We're going to see just how much
Yeah.
justice we will get. But the point is, if you don't test it, Bahamian,
That's right.
what the man is saying, it could stick on you. You ain't fight it. You didn't do anything about it. So it ends up where you being the loser. And that should not be. Your hard-earned asset is taken away from you for somebody else to enjoy.
That's right.
And that has been happening consistently
The people
in the
need
Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
the people need to speak up together when
Yeah.
matters come up.
Collective will. And this is where
Yeah.
the Bahamian people fall short. The collective will of a people is extremely important
Yeah.
as you go forward. Yeah. So Bahamians, this is what we have to look at and deal with accordingly.
Some other news is coming in. It's a lot going on, Professor, but
Yes.
some news is coming in. I mean, I almost can't believe it. This is on the political front, right?
Okay.
The news is coming across that one of the candidates that were announced on the F&M ticket, Dr. Nicholas Fox,
Yes.
reports are coming in that his office was vandalized.
Okay.
Now, I mean, it could be an isolated incident. It could be. I mean, I don't want to say anything more than that. But all I would say is I would hope to think it was not politically motivated, either internally on the F&M side or on the other side, the side opposite. But, it's just unfortunate.
What has been the history of these kind of situations that occur like that? Don't we have a track record of that too?
Well, we do have an audio clip. The producer has an audio
Oh, he has
clip.
an audio clip.
He has an audio
If
clip
Mrs. Producer could,
on that. Yeah.
Let us hear that audio clip.
Politically motivated. Seems to be politically motivated. Why else would they do it? It's never been done before. I've been here 10 years. It's never been done before. And suddenly, 4 days after ratification, my office is ransacked.
Wow.
That is serious.
Professor, I'm holding back my judgment, but Dr. Fox is saying it seems to be politically motivated.
Yeah, but what would you expect him to think?
In 10 years,
He
nothing
said
ever
he's
happened.
been there all that time.
Nothing happened.
4 years after ratification,
Yeah,
all of a
days,
sudden somebody
days,
decides.
days after.
4 days after.
Yeah,
4 days after.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
All right. 4 days
Oh,
after.
boy.
He finds now his office ransacked. They made a complete mess of the place.
Professor, the young people got this saying, see, this can be long. that's what the young people say, Professor.
Yeah.
This political season, this could be long. But I'm laughing, but this is a serious matter that Dr. Nicholas Fox has experienced.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want it to happen to anybody. But that's just low. I don't even want to dwell on that no more. That's very unfortunate and very low. I think we did have some.
What are
Go
we?
ahead.
See, we have to look at it even a little bit more objectively. What are the Bahamian people prepared to do about this kind of situation?
Well, by you saying that, Professor, I was going to go to the Facebook comments, right?
Okay.
But I had to laugh when I came into the studio today. The producer asked, "Hi, what's this man?"
There's another matter.
He brought up a different matter.
Okay.
He said, "Highly, your name on this
You can go into that.
this lineup
Yeah.
with the United Coalition movement."
Okay.
And I've gotten contacted from many different sides, from civil society, from this radio, the owner of this radio station, and other persons have contacted me. I'll say that that was from the last general election. This is a team that was coming together, so that it's not current. That's what the public doesn't know.
But why would it come out now? What was
well,
the purpose of producing
well,
it now? Is that team still in existence?
Well, some fragments you can say are, but what happened is I don't know if it's political mischief or what. But the way I look at it, Professor, right now the general public is thinking there are 3 horses in the race. All right, the 2 major parties,
Right.
and 1 third party,
Right.
the COI. That's right. The whole public. That's what the whole public is thinking right now,
Okay.
and that's okay by me.
Yeah.
What they don't know is that it's going to be more than 3 horses in the race. It's going to be more than 3. It's going to be very substantial, the battle that is coming. And let me be specific with that. Nothing against the COI. We're not firing any shots at the COI or whatnot. And at the same time, there are other, I could say, organizations, political and non-political. Your organization has a case before the courts related to the Nationality Act.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't mean no disrespect to anybody. But I haven't seen any party bringing anything more significant than that. You understand my point?
Yes.
So if you're talking about political contention now, so let's contend in court related to the Nationality Act.
Yeah.
That's not a political statement. Professor, I stand in line, I would say, behind you. Our team or another team is involved with cases like the BPL and other matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm involved in court action that I haven't been speaking about, but this is where you got to fight the battle as well.
That's correct.
And my point, my takeaway from this is, it's going to take more than the COI to take down the FNM and the PLP.
Okay.
If I could put it that, I only touch on this political side because, like you say, go ahead. So I'll just touch on that.
Yeah,
but the United Coalition movement, see, persons like Cassius Stewart has already gone back home. He's
bringing up that other party he had before.
No, he gone back to the FNM.
Oh, he went. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, he lined up to become a candidate. That's something they'll say never say never.
Yeah.
I'll never do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So persons on that flyer like Ms. Ali McIntosh, she still heads the Bahamas Constitution body.
Right.
I happen to be the deputy leader behind Sherelle Ali McIntosh of the Bahamas Constitution Party.
Right.
Wherever we can push or support the COI with information, I'll leave it right there. Conversation and information. That's as far as it goes, Professor.
Okay, all right. So the way how I don't know, but I think these political leaders are going to have to look at the real big picture. As I said to one yesterday, what is it you are about to achieve? The big prize is the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Right.
Not just remaining political party.
Right.
And say you're participating in an electoral process.
Right.
That's not good enough.
No.
Are you prepared to put aside your petty differences for the main goal, the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? That's open for everybody.
Well, I am. Let me just put my hand up first in class. I'm willing to put everything aside other than God himself.
Because I believe, well, you see, God has to help us to be able to achieve that objective if we are really serious about changing the way things are done in this country. We know what we have now. The question is, are you satisfied with what we have after 52 years of governance in this country? Are you satisfied with what has been achieved, if anything has been achieved? Or are you prepared to say, listen, we have to move in a different direction, but in a unified approach to making that a living reality?
So you heard it from highly here, the United Coalition movement, and that poster that has been circulated. Brother Halson Motri is on that as well. So I'll go ahead and state that many of us are still collaborating, still working together. I am in good graces with Ali McIntosh, Halson Motri, and others. We'll see what happens in the future. But that poster is not current. That's the point. That's not current.
All right.
That is from the last general election, and we'll see what happens from here.
This is Professor Sidney McArdle, Walter Thompson. My producer is being very patient with me today, so I want to get off there. Tomorrow, of course, we will have a show tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow between 2 and 4. This is Professor Sidney McArdle, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We want to thank you for listening and participating. But Bahamians, now you've got to take action. Article 24.1 to save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is Professor Sidney McArdle, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. Have a pleasant afternoon.